Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dylan, I'm your host, and today, guys, we're just going to get right into it. AI and automation is about the only way that you're going to be able to grow your engineering firm in 2025 and beyond. Reason I say this is because there's going to be guys that find ways to implement automation and AI into their firm, whether that's through submittals, scheduling, doing the actual work and drawings, whatever it comes down to. AI and automation is the future. It is the way that projects are going to be done. Now, I say all that too with you've got to have people, right? So our firm in the last 2 years, we've gone to just starting and 2 of us to now we've got 10 people effectively working for us. So we're growing rapidly on the engineering side. And this has allowed us to grow. And some of that is people in marketing, people doing video and content, people doing finances for us, accounting, billing, receivables, some legal assessment, drafting, right? It takes everybody to do what we do and go to market. And so with that, like our growth has stemmed from going to conferences, getting in front of people, but we're able to execute the work, which is why people come back, because we use AI, automation, all the right tools to do it. We streamline the workflows, and we've got the right people in the right seats doing billing, contracts, everything else that we end up going through. So the reason that we can grow and continue to grow in our engineering firm is because of the tools like I've built at Kowabunga Studios. Those automation tools that allow us to get through drawings faster, that allow us to help guys do more with their projects. We can turn them around faster so guys come back to us for more projects, and then we can complete the cycle. The more you're able to use and harness automation, to have your templates honed in, to have your systems and processes dialed from the time a project gets proposed on, you follow up with it, you win it, you execute contracts, you do them, you bill for it, and then you close out the project and you collect money. That whole slew of things that you're going to do is what it takes, obviously, to run a business. But the more that you're able to do that and do it quickly, do it with automation, AI, and technology, the better off you, your firm, and your entire team is going to be. I've clearly thought this for a very long time, right? Kowabunga Studios was built in 2016, 2017 is when I had the initial idea for it, built some of the very, very initial tools for it, rewrote the whole code base like 4 times for it through 3 different developers. And I mean, that's what it takes to build this type of tool and technology. It took years. It took tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build the software and the platform to do that. And then with that, it's in Revit. So Revit is not like a easily testable piece of software. You have to have a Revit license. You have to write code, test it on Revit, and then figure out what's wrong through your usage of the tool, rewrite the code, open Revit, find a thing, test it, go back and forth that way. Where a lot of other like web applications or web developments, you can test it in its own little sandbox. Your iteration cycles are that much faster to get like an application on your phone or tablet or computer to run. But when it's an add-in in a very proprietary file format, and then you're dealing with unique geometries like the buildings that we deal with, this is why it takes so long to build these add-ins. This is why it's so complicated. This is why there's only a few people in the entire industry that are building Revit add-ins and automating basically their workflows. When you look at the entire industry, that is why you see so few people doing it. It's tough. It takes a long time to build, and it's going to be unique for the project types that you're working on. So the reason that we took a lot of the paths that we did in Kowabunga Studios in not putting lights into the grid is giving designers that ability to make choices. we still want engineers to be engineers. We still want you to make design decisions, because at the end of the day, you're stamping the drawings. You're taking responsibility for it. Our software is not taking responsibility for it. We're simply helping you to populate the model so that you can make design decisions. So if you take 10% of the entire project to get 50% drawings done, that's a pretty good trade. So if something that would have taken you 40 takes you 4, well, that's a 90% efficiency increase. Now, it'll vary on projects and how good you are with Revit in general. But for the most part, I mean, that's the type of trade that we're looking at, right? You can go through, everything's placed. Now you're just making little simple adjustments throughout the entire project. And also, all those systems are going to be placed, right? Lighting, power, fire alarm, lighting controls, power distribution. And then with AutoCircuit, now your circuiting is going to start to be done. If you've developed your contents and family correctly, you can do all your home run devices pretty simply in one click to the nearest panel. Then you can just go through and choose which panels you're going to, if you're going to change which panel anything goes to, you can then hit the balance loads button in Revit to balance all the loads for all your panels so that everything's evenly balanced on each phase for every panel in the project. Things like this are going to be hugely beneficial for you and your team to go through and ultimately succeed, right? Like that type of automation did not exist. I believe we're still the only one that's doing device placement in Revit and that type of automation that I know of. So you're not going to find this anywhere else. So when it comes to automation and Revit, Kowabunga Studios is the place for electrical, low voltage, fire alarm, device placement for Revit. Period. Full stop. So with that, our process is pretty simple. You fill out a form, you put down a $500 deposit, you get $10,000 in credits. And if you finish the onboarding checklist, which really just, we're trying to force you to open it, use it, and benefit from AI and automation, is all we really want from you, and then some feedback. So if you do that within 7 days, we're going to give you your $500 back, so you're not out any cash. And then if you don't complete the onboarding checklist in 7 days, we're still going to give you $500 in credit. So you're literally out zero money for the trial. You've got $10,000 or $10,500 worth of credits that you got for either for a $500 deposit or for that you got refunded, or for $500 down that you still got back in credits, right? So you're getting 10 grand worth of credits to run through a model, place all these devices, use automation, get ahead of your competition, save your people time, reduce turnover, increase effectiveness. There's no downside to any of this other than just trying it and implementing it. Now, one of the questions I get too is on like budgets, right? What should I budget for this? How do I budget for it? So there is some expense to it, right? Like you're going to use a given number of credits. I don't know how many credits you're going to use. It depends on your project. So here's some of the math for you. So on a 40,000 square foot project, we use about 4 credits, so 1,600 devices. But let's just call it 2,000 credits divided by 400. So you use 5 credits on a 40,000 square foot building. So 5 credits divided by 40,000. So that's 0.00125 tokens per square foot, right? So let's just say per 10,000. So you're going to it'll cost you $125 per 10,000 square feet. Now, that'll vary per project type. That's on an office building. Schools might be a little more, right? Healthcare might be a little more. So you're going to say per 10,000 square feet, you're going to spend $125. So if we say that divided by 1,000 per 10 square feet, it's like 12 cents. I mean, the math always works, right? Like it is not expensive. So even if you did, let's say times, let's say 1 million. So if you did 1 million square feet, it might cost you 125 grand for the year. That might be, I think that's right. It might be 12.5. I might be off of 0. But anyway, significantly less than it would cost you to do with your team. And actually, I think that's wrong. So we have 5 credits over 40,000 square feet. Credits per square foot times $1,000,000. It's 125 times $100. Yeah, so $12,500. So I was off of zero. So $12,500 is what it would take to do 1,000,000 square feet worth of, let's say, office space. Again, it's going to vary by project type, the settings that you choose, how you lay it out. Like, this will vary a little bit, but that's the math. Based on projects that we've done and we've seen, it'll cost you anywhere, let's say, from 10 to 15 grand, maybe 20 grand, maybe even 25 grand to do 1,000,000 square feet, right? You're not going to pay anybody in the United States that to do design documents. So it's extremely cost effective for you to do. And again, tokens don't expire. So the sooner you buy tokens, the sooner that you put those to use or bank them, like they don't expire. You share them across the entire organization. There's, again, not a more cost-effective model to lay out your Revit projects. It just doesn't exist. So even if you're using overseas child labor for $3, like, you're still not going to beat it. It's like, that kid, one, is probably not doing it right. Two, you're going to have to redo it and review it with your own U.S. labor for codes and everything else. Plus, I don't think that's truly right. We don't want to use child labor, but that's an extreme example. So even if you're at $10 an hour, that's still $20,000 a year in expenses, right? So if you pay somebody $10 an hour, which US, that does translate, and that is a thing in some other countries. That's a decent wage, $10 an hour US in other countries. But it's still $20,000 a year if they're working full time, and they're not going to do 1,000,000 square feet. Like, the best I've seen somebody do for a given project is, let's call it 250,000 square feet of school project in a year. And I think they even still had some help. They were not the only one dedicated to it. So even call it maybe up to 300,000. So you're getting 3 people to do 50% of it. So let's say that someone with this could do 500,000 square feet of space a year, right? You still got to go through and coordinate it, whatever, but the layouts are pretty much done. Design documents are done in a matter of 10% of the hours. So you're getting 50% done for 10%. So the remaining time is going to be done on the project. So let's say you could do 600,000 square feet of project in a given year using this. So what that amounts to is, and let's say you pay that person 150 grand or even 125 grand, and then weighted, let's just call it 150 plus another 10 grand on top of that. And you doubled their productivity for only $10,000 more. That's a really good trade. But that's the math, right? That's how it works out right now for Surfboard, for our automation tools, and what it costs you to lay out a project. So you're not going to go wrong in doing any of that. And really, from an ROI standpoint, you aren't going to get any better. But this is why automation works. It's super cost effective to do, to implement, to use on your projects. There's almost no downside. So when it comes to budgeting, which I'll come back to that number, maybe you do put in whatever, 10, 20, 30 grand into your budgets for this. But because you get so much more out, your cash flow is so much better. You can win more projects. You don't have to hire another person. Yes, it probably should go in a budget, but you're going to be so much better off for it. Put in 50 grand for it. Put in 20 grand for it. Put in whatever you're comfortable with for budgeting based on your people and how many square foot of a given building type that you're doing. The Surfboard would be applicable. Again, schools, hospitals, offices, MOBs, primary care, the front offices and manufacturing facilities, the 10, 20, 30,000 square feet you're going to put in a manufacturing facility. That is what Surfboard is going to be fantastic for. But for straight up cold storage facilities with racking, or actual manufacturing facilities and data centers, it's not the best tool for, right? You're really not going to use it in those applications. Those applications and those building types are going to need real engineers that know what they're doing to lay out those spaces, to coordinate requirements with the owner. That's what you're here for in those types of environments, right? Those are truly custom. There's not necessarily a formula to follow that you can automate for those building types, right? You're interpreting CAD files and talking to the automation guys and the plant layout people and the equipment and process folks to place all the electrical equipment for the given project. So when we look at a lot of this, there's very certain project types that Surfboard is awesome at and Skimboard. And so those project types are where you're going to really excel. So if you put 25 grand in a budget, and even if you don't use it all in the next year, and granted you do get like bonuses for the different tiers of tokens, so the more tokens you buy, the sooner, better off you're going to be. But with that, they never expire, right? You're never going to have to worry about them expiring or what happens if I didn't use it. It's the beauty of tokens rather than a seat license is you prepay for them, but that's it. You're going to be at some cash up front, but you're only going to pay for what you use, which is pretty cool. So automation is the way. I've known this for a long time. It's how we've been able to grow our firm and do more work and win more projects. We use tools, just a tool. Use it, figure out how to use them, win more work, and everyone will be better off for it. Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time.